I thought our housewarming would be a night of celebration, laughter, and warmth, a milestone to mark the beginning of our new chapter. But as soon as Laura walked in, her tone immediately set the wrong atmosphere. She tried to make a joke about me in front of our friends, something small but cutting. At first, I laughed politely, hiding the sting behind a smile, but inside, I felt a surge of frustration. I had spent months preparing this house, every detail chosen carefully, every corner reflecting the life we had built together. And here she was, turning my celebration into fodder for amusement. It wasn't the first time Laura had tried to undermine me subtly. Over the years, little remarks, playful insults disguised as humor, and thinly veiled comparisons to other men had become routine. But today, with our new home as the backdrop, the stakes felt higher. I watched her scan the room as she laughed, expecting others to join in, expecting me to react. I didn't. I stayed composed, reminding myself that responding would only validate her behavior. Then came the moment that shifted the room completely. Our neighbor, a man named Daniel who lived directly next door, stepped out to greet us. Tall, confident, and strikingly aware of the social dynamics around him, Daniel had always had a presence that drew attention. That night, he didn't just greet us. He noticed Laura's little performance immediately. His eyes flicked between her and me, his expression unreadable, but there was an unmistakable undertone of awareness. Laura, unaware of what she had just triggered, continued her joke, her voice rising slightly. She tried to playfully nudge me, expecting the typical response she always got, laughter, embarrassment, or a subtle apology on my part. But Daniel's movement changed everything. He stepped slightly closer, leaning casually against the doorway, and said something simple yet piercing. "Funny, I didn't know this housewarming was also a comedy show." His tone was calm, almost casual, but there was an edge to it that froze Laura in her tracks. I could see the color drain from her face. The joke, meant to belittle me, had collided with an external perspective she couldn't control. Her confident smirk faltered, replaced by hesitation. Our friends, sensing the sudden tension, paused, unsure where to look or how to react. And in that instant I realized the power of perception, how the same words could carry different weight depending on who witnessed them. What had been a minor attempt to mock me became a spotlight on her behavior, and she couldn't escape it. Laura's hesitation was almost palpable. She opened her mouth, trying to recover, to turn the situation back in her favor, but the words caught in her throat. Daniel didn't need to say more. His presence alone had shifted the balance. Our friends exchanged glances, sensing the tension, and I could feel the room subtly pivoting. For the first time that evening, Laura wasn't in control, and she didn't like it. I decided to stay silent, letting her stumble through the awkward pause. I had learned long ago that reacting to provocations rarely achieved anything. Silence could speak volumes, and tonight, it spoke louder than any words I could have used. Laura, usually quick with a joke or a sarcastic remark, froze under the scrutiny, her eyes darting between me and Daniel, unsure where to focus. The shift was subtle but unmistakable. She realized her attempt to belittle me had backfired. As the evening progressed, the atmosphere changed further. Daniel, while polite and cordial, had this way of highlighting honesty without being confrontational. Every question he asked Laura, every casual comment he made, subtly exposed the pretense she had tried to maintain. She laughed nervously, trying to regain composure, but the sparkle of confidence that had carried her earlier was gone. I watched silently as her facade crumbled piece by piece. Meanwhile, I remained composed, observing. My mind was sharp, analyzing her reactions, noting the subtle signs of guilt and discomfort. I didn't need to confront her directly. Her own behavior had revealed more than any conversation could. By staying neutral and letting Daniel's presence do the work, the truth of her attitude and intentions became evident, not just to me, but to everyone in the room. Eventually, Laura retreated to the kitchen under the guise of pouring drinks, giving herself a moment to regain composure. I followed casually and asked her quietly, "Are you okay?" She avoided my eyes, fumbling with the glasses. That moment, more than any public embarrassment, told me what I needed to know. She understood the shift in dynamics, the subtle accountability that had been imposed on her without a single word from me. I realized something important that night. People often underestimate the power of external perspective. No matter how confident or daring someone may seem in their own bubble, Introducing a witness who sees the situation clearly can change everything. Laura's attempt to joke at my expense had been neutralized, not by confrontation, but by awareness, presence, and the undeniable weight of observation. It was a lesson in restraint, strategy, and perception. A lesson she hadn't expected to learn at her own housewarming. By the time the evening wound down, Laura had mostly withdrawn, sticking close to the food table and avoiding any attempts at jokes or commentary. The energy she had carried in when she first arrived, the sly confidence, the need to entertain at my expense, was gone. She had been exposed in a way that didn't require shouting, confrontation, or humiliation. Daniel's calm presence had done the work, and I could see the weight of it on her. After our friends had left, Laura and I were alone. The house felt quieter, heavier, yet somehow clearer. I sat on the couch reflecting on the night, while Laura lingered near the kitchen. Finally she spoke, her voice low and hesitant. I didn't mean to," she started but stopped. I didn't interrupt. I had no intention of offering forgiveness yet, nor did I need to. The night had spoken for me. Her actions had revealed more than her words ever could. I realized something vital that evening. Trust isn't just about what happens behind closed doors. It's about consistency, honesty, and respect, even in public or semi-public spaces. Laura had assumed that humor at my expense was harmless, but it wasn't. It was a reflection of how she viewed our relationship and the boundaries she was willing to cross. The presence of someone outside our bubble, someone who could witness the truth, had shifted the dynamics instantly. And she had frozen because deep down she knew she had overstepped. Later we talked quietly, honestly, for the first time that night. I didn't accuse or yell. I didn't dwell on her past attempts to undermine me. Instead, I focused on clarity, what behavior was acceptable, what boundaries I expected, and how respect needed to manifest in both private and social situations. She listened, visibly uncomfortable, but finally present. It was a pivotal moment, not just for the night, but for our marriage. This was a turning point. Either she would recognize the importance of accountability, or our relationship would remain vulnerable to these repeated slights. By the end of the night, I felt a renewed sense of control, not in a domineering way, but through calm observation, strategic patience, and the subtle reinforcement of boundaries. Laura had learned a lesson, quietly but effectively. Actions carry weight, and attempts to diminish others for entertainment come at a cost. That housewarming, which I had initially feared might be another event where my efforts and intentions were overshadowed, turned into a moment of clarity. It reminded me that sometimes the strongest response isn't confrontation or anger. It's awareness, patience, and letting the truth reveal itself. Laura left the night slightly humbled, our bond tested but now grounded in a shared understanding. Humor at the expense of respect is never harmless, and perception can be more powerful than words.